What's going on, my fellow wealth creators? Matty Ice here. I wanted to do a video just sharing my journey so far, learning how to become a private money lender. It's something that I'm really excited to get started with here in 2024. I am planning on doing my first deal at some point this year. I'm still in the learning phase, just educating myself about, how the process works, what it means to be a private money lender, what to do if things go wrong, how to protect yourself, how contracts work, things like that. But it's something that I'm really excited about because I'm going to be using my infinite banking policies for lending in order to lend on these deals, which just makes the deal that much better. And if this is your first time to my channel, I'm a very big proponent of the infinite banking concept. I use it in my life right now. It is absolutely fantastic. It's a really, really powerful financial strategy when you set up your policy correctly and you utilize it correctly. And it's just an absolute game changer. And it can really help take your private money lending business to the next level where you can actually make money twice. We're going to get into that a little bit. But these policies are so powerful for things like this. And I think it's a great example of using an infinite banking policy in order to build wealth outside of the policy. Because a lot of times you hear people say, you can get this positive arbitrage in the policy. Just ignore that stuff. Okay. It's ridiculous. The way we use these policies is exactly what I'm talking about here. This is one particular way anyway, or one specific way you can do it is private money lending. And what drew me to private money lending is one, you can make some pretty good returns, pretty consistent, good returns, a lot of times better than stock market returns. And you have a lot more control over the process. We have zero control over the stock market. Now, I'm not saying not to invest in the market. Okay, it's not what I'm saying. I'm saying if we're looking at all of the different ways that we can put our money to work and build wealth, what makes sense for us? Well, for me, I'm pretty risk averse. I'm not a fan of things that I don't have at least some control over, like the stock market. For me, if I lend my money on if I do a private money loan on a real estate deal, especially if I do it locally, which we're going to get into, but I can drive by the property. I could see it. It's secured by the mortgage. I can, if the borrower defaults, I could take the property, sell it, probably make even more money than I would if I if the borrower didn't default and you just paid the loan back, right? So it's secured by a hard asset. I have control. I can have influence on the deal itself if needed. I could put a team together to help me manage it, right? So there's a lot of control in that type of deal. That's what really drew me to becoming a private money lender and just putting my money to work, right? But I wanted to do it in the most efficient way possible, which in my opinion, that is through an infinite banking policy. So I just set up my second infinite banking policy. Again, I'm really just trying to make sure that I know how this process works as far as being like loaning money on a deal, like the back of my hand. I want to be able to, like, any question that would be brought up. Okay, maybe that's a little extreme. Like, you don't have to know everything to get started, but you do need to have a really good, solid understanding about how these things work if you want to make sure that you're taking as little risk as possible, right? So I want to share some of the resources that I've discovered with you, some of the things that I've learned so far that has kind of created my philosophy so far around private money lending and how I'm going to be doing it. These resources are just incredible. And the reason I say that, especially when it comes to learning how to become a private money lender, which is the phase that I'm in right now. I'm still educating myself. It was interesting to me that I had a hard time finding like a step-by-step blueprint, a roadmap from start, like showing how to become a private money lender and how a deal works from start to finish. Like, I suppose if you searched individual parts of the process, you would find it, but I couldn't really find anything that was organized in such a way that, like, hey, starting with due diligence, how to identify a good deal, what makes it a bad deal, interviewing investors, understanding contracts, how to protect yourself, what to do if a borrower defaults, what does the foreclosure process look like, and just like a blueprint from start to finish. I couldn't find it. Finally did, and I'm going to share that with you guys. It is just fantastic for building a really solid foundation for understanding how to be a private money lender successfully and to eliminate as much risk as possible. I'll share that with you guys in a minute, but there's not a lot of step-by-step blueprints on this business. It was really interesting. So that's one of the main reasons I wanted to do this video. I want to share my screen here, just go through a couple of slides with you guys. Oh shoot, here we go. There it is. All right. So I want to walk you through my philosophy here, my process for becoming a private money lender. This is how I'm going to be doing it, things that I'm thinking about and going to be implementing. Obviously, I talked about my infinite banking policies already. It allows us to make money twice, plus all of the other incredible benefits that we get from these policies. They're basically, if you're not familiar with the concept, I'm going to have tons of additional training showing you my policies and how they work. If you want to check that out, I'll have that in the description. But these policies, they're dividend-paying whole life insurance policies. They're max-funded. They're structured in a very particular way. And it allows us to get access to our cash value in order to lend on. It allows me. I'm going to just talk about me here because this is the process I'm following. You don't have to do this. I'm just sharing with you what I'm doing right now. So it allows me access to my cash value in these policies to where I can make these private money loans. But while I do that, because I'm borrowing the life insurance company's money, my cash value continues to get that 3 to 5% uninterrupted tax-free compound growth while I lend on this real estate deal. So a lot of people have money sitting in a checking account, savings account, whatnot, and it's just sitting there really doing nothing while you're waiting for a deal to come around. I didn't really want to do that. I want to have my money in the most efficient vehicles possible. And so if I can have my money growing at 3 to 5% net tax-free compound growth every single year, that's how these policies work, while I'm waiting on a deal to come in or while I've already lent on a deal, I want to do that. And the only cost to create that scenario is a little bit of simple interest in the form of the policy loan, because I'm borrowing the life insurance company's money to lend on this real estate deal, but my money is in my policy is still getting that compound growth. I make profit over here. I made money twice. My only cost was the interest expense for the policy loan. This is what banks do every single day. They pay us, let's say 1% to have money in a savings account. Then they lend it out at 5% and they repeat the process over and over and over again. That's exactly what we're doing, except it's actually even more efficient than a bank because our money is continuing to grow at 3 to 5% tax-free compound growth while we're making our profit over here. So if I can borrow at 5.5%, which is my current loan rate on one of my policies, and I lend it out at 12%, that's a pretty good spread. That's pretty good arbitrage right there. Plus my policy continue to grow. So that's why I'm using my infinite banking policies for this. It's kind of like having my own private banking system with these things. And the more I capitalize it, the more I'm able to take advantage of more opportunities to lend the money out. And now I'm acting like an actual bank here. And for me, it's the most efficient way to do it. So I set up my policies already. You can learn more about those in the description if you want. We're able to make money twice, plus all the other, we get living benefits. We have the death benefits for our families in case something happens to us prematurely. Like there's so many other benefits to it as well. Talked about the interest cost. Next, so what I'm doing is I'm going to be starting locally. I know there's a lot of people that do private money deals all across the country, sometimes lending on deals that they haven't even seen. I would imagine that they're only doing that because they have a lot of experience. I'm just getting started. So I am absolutely only going to be lending on local deals, which, I mean, if you really think about it, there should be plenty of opportunities to lend locally anyways. We don't really have to go outside of our local area when we're getting started, but I want to get a few deals under my belt, just like get some experience as far as actually being a lender and what that process looks like. And, what some of the red flags are, some of the, I want to make mistakes early and mistakes that are easy to rectify, which for me, if you can't really do, if, I'm here in Florida, I'm lending on a property, out in South Dakota or something like that, right? Like that just doesn't make sense. Like if something goes wrong, I want to be able to drive by the property. I want to meet the contractors. I want to meet the investor, so for me, starting locally is really important. So I'm going to be joining my, actually, we'll talk about that in a second. The other thing right now, pretty conservative, just starting out with 1, maybe 2 deals per year, depending on how fast the deals take place, whether it's maybe it's a fix and flip and it takes 3 months on that particular deal. And then, I find another deal 2 months after that. And I do one more that takes 3 months and they refinance, they sell it, et cetera, whatever. right? So starting out with 1 or 2 deals, and as I build up my private banking system and capitalize it, then obviously I'll want to do more and more deals as I get more experience. Also, 65% loan to value. That's it. And if it goes to 70%, then it just makes sense to charge an additional point, maybe an additional percentage point or 2 on the interest rate as well for that additional risk. But especially just getting started, I want to give myself as much wiggle room as possible when it comes to equity, just in case something does go wrong, the market goes down, the borrower defaults, whatever. I want to be able to recoup my money plus more if necessary, right? So just, I know people do a higher loan to value sometimes, but again, I imagine that is because you have more experience, you have really good relationships with the investors that you work with. But, starting from scratch, I have to build those relationships first and get the experience. So I'm starting with 65%, 70% max. But if I take a little bit more risk, I expect to be compensated for that additional risk. So that's kind of my philosophy and thought process around that. And also first position lien only. I've seen deals offered to private money lenders, second position loans and stuff. And I'm sure there's nothing wrong with that. But again, I think it comes down to your experience in the relationship you have with that particular company or investor. Doing a second position lien, it's just getting started. It's not something that I'm looking at right now. So here's the blueprint that I've been following to be just learning how to become a private money lender. First, you have to learn and master the basics. You have to understand how the process works. You want to lower your risk in something, educate yourself, know how it works, and preferably learn something where you can actually provide some influence, a little bit of control over if you had to, right? Private money lending is a perfect example of that. So for me right now, I'm going through a course. I will link it down in the description. It is fantastic, guys. It's exactly what I was looking for. Learning, looking for a step-by-step roadmap and blueprints on how it what it means to be a private money lender, how the process works. It is an affiliate link. I hope you don't mind. It does help support the content in the channel, and I really appreciate that. But it's also pretty cheap too. It doesn't cost thousands of dollars. I was pretty surprised at the cost, at least at the time of this recording. But it goes through the contracts, getting insurance, title, how to protect yourself, what to do if things go wrong, how to vet investors, how to build a team, your real estate attorneys and mortgage brokers, contractors, etc. Man, it was just a step-by-step process. And so I'm going through that over and over and over again. I think I'm on my 4th time going through the academy, and it's actually not that long, but it's just right to the point, and it gives timelines and step by step, okay, so if you're going to lend on a deal, here's the first thing you do, and it goes through 16, 17 different steps throughout the process from start to finish, from when you lend on the deal to when you close. It's awesome. So I'll link that down below. Right now I'm just focusing on learning the basics, know what happens in a deal from start to finish, learning the terminology as well, the language that's used when you're talking about contracts and you're vetting deals and you're doing your due diligence and things like that, understanding contracts, what to do with the borrower defaults, things like that. So that's what I'm really focused on right now. Networking is kind of the next phase for me. I'm going to be doing a lot of this very soon. I'm going to be joining my local RIA, Real Estate Investment Association, I'm pretty sure is what it stands for. And for me, this just makes sense. If you're starting locally, I want to meet the people who are in the game in my local area. I want to start building those relationships, having conversations, letting people know that I'm interested in lending on deals. Here's my criteria. And eventually just, maybe have a couple of realtors or brokers that you put on your team and they send deals to you. That'd be pretty sweet. Or maybe building relationships with people at title companies. You never know when where that deal is going to come from. But it's not going to happen unless you put yourself out there and you start meeting people. So I'm going to be joining the local RIA, and then focusing first on building my team versus looking for a deal right away. I want to meet, the real estate attorney that I'll be using, preferably getting a referral or a recommendation from people. I'm working on that right now. For me, I think your attorney as a private money lender is probably one of the most important people on your team to make sure that your contract, your note and the mortgage or deed of trust, depending on whatever state you're in, is rock solid. You don't want to be messing with contracts. You want to make sure those things are rock solid. So Meeting an attorney, mortgage brokers as well. For me, this is important depending on the types of deals that you're going to be lending on too. Like I'm just thinking about, if someone's having trouble refinancing a property so that I can get, they can pay the loan back. Maybe I have a couple of mortgage brokers I can introduce them to that are flexible. They've worked with deals like this before. And I think it's just, they're good to have in your back pocket just in case. Not to mention, they might be able to refer deals to you as well. Contractors, just in case the investor, maybe they're a newer investor, not really sure what they're doing. Maybe their contractor, kind of ghosted them or whatnot. Again, that way we have some control over the process if necessary. From there, once I have the team put in place, that's when I'm going to focus on meeting local investors and actually building up a pipeline of investors that, we align as far as values, principles, beliefs go, not taking huge amounts of risk here, whatever, but they have a track record of success. And yeah, at that point, once I have my team built, I understand the process really good. Obviously, I'm not going to know it 100%. Mistakes will be made, but with a good team in place, I think you can mitigate that risk. So meeting local investors and then eventually expanding to online platforms for deals to lend on. There's a platform, I'll link it down in the description. The name of it escapes me at the moment, but there is, we'll go ahead and wrap up with this. There's a really cool platform. There's multiple platforms out there, but that actually connect real estate investors with private money lenders. And as long as you know what you're doing and you're comfortable investing outside of your state, maybe not necessarily physically seeing the property in person, and you're okay with that, it's a great network. And eventually I plan on getting to that point. The network that I've joined to start that networking process, they also have a good amount of training as well. So I definitely recommend it. Again, I'll have a link in the description. It's another affiliate link if you don't mind. It does help support the channel. But either way, these are really good resources that I have discovered that have really helped me along my journey to learning how to become a private money lender. And I hope it'll do the same for you. I'm really excited about this, guys. I'm planning on doing my first deal, or at least being open to doing my first deal and starting that networking process, getting the deals in the pipeline, vetting them very soon. And I'm going to be sharing my journey as I get these deals done and just what my experience has been. So if that's something that interests you, make sure you subscribe. Check out the additional training I have in the description on the infinite banking concept in order to do this, because I just don't think there is a better way to do it than with these policies, infinite banking policies. They are just fantastic. They're really, really powerful. So anyways, I hope this was helpful. I hope it gave you a couple of resources that you can use if you're interested in becoming a private money lender, so you can start the education process. I think that's the most important part, obviously, when you're getting started, is to learn. Make sure you educate yourself. That lowers your risk, and it significantly increases our chances of being successful at this. So I hope it was helpful, guys, and I will talk to you in the next one. To your success. Matty Ice is out.